Hey Dumb, this is Dave Desai. Today I want to get into BTS military enlistment news, and we finally have confirmation. But there's been some new news that has come out that has got everyone shocked. I wanted to get into why BTS actually may not be allowed to enlist and what that theory is about, especially Jung Kook. And then I wanted to get into what was believed to be RM's goodbye letter. So, hater or not, make sure you're subscribed with the notification bell on, grab your dumpling, a tea spilling mug merch, and let's get into it. If you aren't aware, the internet pretty much broke the other day when the official news of BTS's enlistment was announced. To be quite honest, I didn't think it would be officially announced. I figured it would just happen and then we'd figure it out. And maybe by the time we noticed that they were gone, they'd be half done already. But Big Hit was quite straightforward about it and put out a statement in Korean, English, Chinese, and Japanese. They were like, everyone needs to know. They basically wrote how Jin has finalized his decision to go and he will kick it off first. The other members will soon follow suit and each of their enlistment schedules will be determined by their solo work schedules. So likely once each one has done their solo album and stuff, they may just take their time to enlist. It does appear they have gotten some sort of shortened service because Big Hit mentioned that the group will resume in 2025. So that's only 2 years and a few months. So that's really the duration of one sentence, but it seemed like they're saying that it will be when BTS is done with it. At least I assume that is the message, because it was also interpreted that they would maybe have a break in their military service and then just come together for BTS shortly and then off again. However, I assume this is less likely. It's good to finally set the record straight. I think everyone wanted to know, and it probably was so frustrating for BTS and HYBE to sit there and read about headlines about how lawyers were fighting them in court and all that. And I think ultimately what may have happened was they just decided that it was a waste of taxpayer money to keep dragging on this military case, and it's best to just put it to rest by enlisting. This would just end all the debates. Well, I can understand that mindset if that's what happened. I really personally think BTS should have come out themselves and fought for it. When change happens, there will be backlash. That's how it has always happened, and history has never been made from someone who was doing what they're told. If BTS fought this, it could have changed how military service would be offered to idols in the future. However, another take on this is that this is also their career and they're musicians, not politicians, so maybe that would have been overstepping and they had no interest in creating history in this particular sector. The internet was also filled with people talking about how much money the South Korean economy will lose, and there isn't really much that I can add because we already knew this. Hopefully HYBE is ready for the lower amounts of revenue or loss. They have diversified so much and grown so much over the years that I think they are. They are apparently a $1 billion company but have somewhere like only 1,000 employees. This is not a small number by any means, but a company of that size can usually have more. So it appears to me that they weren't ever just frivolously spending their money and hiring people they didn't need. They had an idea in their head that if BTS leaves, they might not be able to sustain the business that they once had, so they never hired too many people. It's smart, and I assume that since the announcement was made, they are ready. Also gives time for Enhypen and TXT to really shine. After this announcement, there were some new posts that really changed meanings. RM posted a photo of him at a museum, which is nothing unusual, but RM really likes art and had mentioned even opening his own art gallery one day. I say that to emphasize that RM is not going to be unfamiliar with the art that he posts, and it seems like he borders on the line of the art that has a deep meaning or some that is just cute and funny. Since the art that he showed in this particular post was neither cute or funny, it likely was supposed to be more thought-provoking. RM went to visit the Kim Wanky Art Museum. This is one of RM's favorite artists. RM featured a specific painting with the name "Where in What Form Shall We Meet Again?" And this name was inspired by a poem called "In the Evening" by Kim Kwang-sop. The poem's lines talk about staring into the stars and seeing each other, and as the author disappears into the night, he wonders in what way or when will the two see each other again. Of course, feel free to interpret those lines however you want. Now, it goes a little deeper than that. If you're someone who reads a lot of poetry, something to understand isn't even just the words or the lines, but reading in between those lines to try to understand what the author was feeling when they wrote it, what was going through their mind, and what were the conditions they were under, as this all plays into a factor in our emotions. I know I sound like an English teacher right now, but stick with me, it's relevant. Apparently, at the time of writing the poem, the author was going through a lot. The author was missing their friend, and this was written in a time of a lot of political chaos. We start to see how that would represent how RM is feeling right now. Missing army because of political issues like the military. Now, of course, these are my and/or army's words and interpretations of the situation. This is not anything RM has said. But of course, we know that RM is looking forward to the day that they will get to see army again fully without any issues. Obviously, we interpret this as a goodbye post. Armies were scrambling to see if there were anything they could do. Many want to join the military so they could be with BTS, and I hope there's more strict regulations on that. I hope not everyone can just join when Jin joins. Other situations were a bit more interesting, and theories that Jungkook might not actually be able to go. In fact, most of the BTS members might not actually legally be allowed to go. At least this is some people's theories and conspiracies. I wasn't aware of this, but apparently people with tattoos are actually not allowed to go to the army. The army prohibits tattoos and claims that tattoos are delinquent things, etc. These are what is generally believed by the public and regular non-military people as the same thing. However, it's not against the law to be a non-military person and get a tattoo. However, being in the army, it seems to be not allowed. I think there could be exceptions to smaller tattoos, like a 7 tattoo or whatever, as you can hide that or never see it. For tattoos like Jungkook, where it's huge and quite obviously a tattoo, I'm curious if this is going to be an issue or result in Jungkook not enlisting. I haven't read the entire South Korean constitution, but I did not find anything relating to not having tattoos or markings on the skin. But of course, I assume if they really want BTS to enlist for whatever reason, this would be a tiny exception that they would be able to make. I'm curious to know if this means when Jungkook is ready to go, if you think he'll be able to go at all. These are more superficial things that are definitely not a huge deal to us, but a huge deal to the military in Korea. Even not going to enlist is considered delinquent behavior similar to getting a tattoo. So if the government keeps that same energy, it could be an interesting debate when that time comes. However, what I am going to assume for a while and for the time being is that Jungkook will be going, and he will go once he gets out his album. Since BTS will be back in 2025, it definitely means that the boys will have to go sooner than later to be able to make it back in 2025. A recent clip that went viral after the news was one of the few times BTS had ever mentioned their plans for the military. Apparently, this was back in 2015 during a Run episode. V and Jungkook were talking about the service, and I think an army had asked when he will enlist, and if he could enlist with all the other members together. This way, it's short and quick, but also it's such a relief to know that whatever they go through at the camp, they will all go through together like everything else, and they can go through the ups and downs and all that with each other. And even us armies, just knowing that allows us to sleep better at night. Arm replied saying that he has plans to enlist together with Jungkook, and that he promised to join the army with Jungkook already. Now, I don't know what episode exactly this is from, and I can't seem to find it, but this clip and photo seem to be going around, but take it with a grain of salt. By the way, if you do want to watch me react to some cute reality moments like Run BTS and other shows, then make sure you check out my Patreon. I will link it down below. We always have a great time over there. However, since this was something that is believed to have been said, people were thinking if Jungkook does enlist soon, that means that Taeyang will be heading with Jungkook together. The members have never broken a promise to ARMY, and I assume certainly not with each other. I would honestly love to know that each member would enlist with at least one other person so they can be together and enjoy being together. I think this will be a life-changing experience for them. One of the biggest prices you pay for success is being desensitized to everything. There really isn't anything that you haven't experienced, and most things are just boring or repetitive. The first time you go on a private jet is fun. The 90th time, you may not care as much. So I say this while they have a lot of passion for music, the military will be something very different and new for them. But what do you think about all of this? How do you feel about Jungkook possibly not being able to enlist over tattoos? How do you feel about V and Jungkook maybe going together? And how do you feel about RM's goodbye post? Let me know what you think, and make sure you check out my Patreon for more videos, a link down below. Thanks for this lovely comment right here. Love you, bye.